Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Really delighted to be back this morning. Can you tell what our surprise is, what we want to know? We are absolutely giggling like small children. We are so excited because this is the first time in many, many months that Ruth and I have been here together. So
socially a little bit distant.
We are a little bit distant.
We are in the same room.
We have not hugged, we have not shaken hands, we've not done any of the things that we might normally do. So we're absolutely thrilled to be back here this morning. So please bear with us. It's slightly different presenting this way. So it's going to feel a little bit, probably more old school broadcasty this morning. We're a little bit of talking to each other, a little bit of presenting this way. So it's going to be fun. Thank you for joining us for the ride. And today we're going to be talking about how we market ourselves. How do we get who we are, our whole tapestry of us? How do we put that down effectively on paper? It's one of those things Ruth and I would agree. You're sitting here, so you can't disagree with me. Is these CVs, you know what, businesses hire people, they don't hire a piece of paper. But this piece of paper gets us in front of the right people. So it's so important that we spend a bit of time, we take some care and consideration to get it down on paper.
Yeah. And there's so many people that will have an opinion, and you'll hear so many people, and I'm sure you've been on the internet, you've read articles about the length of your CV, what you should put in, what you shouldn't put in, and they're personal, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's we're doing, we've toggled it as 3 Ps, haven't we?
Three Ps.
And it's a personal thing. You know, your CV is personal and should be tailored for you, but it's hard to get that message across.
Yeah, it is hard, and I think we all would say, wouldn't we, that it's very easy, particularly us as recruiters, to talk about other people, but it's very hard to talk about ourselves. So hopefully today, folks, we're going to give you some advice on how to make this effective. What we would say is take some notes. What we're doing, again, is our whistle-stop tour. The advice and support we're giving is not exhaustive. There is more support. But hopefully this discussion that we'll have, and we will break out to more of a discussion rather than us talking to you, there will be stuff that you say, oh yes, I can, you know, I get something from that. That's really helpful to me. So, Ruth.
So we're breaking it down
Number 1 P.
Please. Breaking it down to 3, and number 1 is your profile. So what we're talking about, and I think I've realised how visual I am I talk a lot with my hands, so I'll try not to hit you this morning. You know what I'm doing. Normally it's just me doing this and nobody tells me anything. But your profile, so that's the bit that sits normally at the top of your the first page of your CV, and this is the introduction. This is the bit that people will read, and it needs to stand out. But it is a personal thing, isn't it? Yeah. And the challenge, I think, is you're applying for a role. So let's try and think about some classic roles that we deal with. So operations managers, engineering managers, administration roles, HR. That title can be, because you're applying for the same job, and your language could be, well, I'm an experienced operations manager. I have experience of leading a team. I have experience of generating great efficiencies within my plant. And then Charlotte will go, boring.
Boring, ding dong, boring.
Because that's what you're expecting an ops manager to do. So what's the different bit? And it's that balance, isn't it, of getting in what you do as a person, but then who are you as an individual, and how do you bring that to life?
Exactly. So I share a story. I worked in financial recruitment in the city for years, and I had hundreds of applicants a day, and my job was to find the multilingual speaking secretaries for the trading floor or for the investment banks. The amount of, I'm a polished, proactive professional, used to working on my own, working in a team. I mean, honestly, and it was a case of actually, how do we differentiate between these people?
Yeah.
But that was true for 99% of the people who were applying. That was true. They were immaculately turned out. They were beautifully spoken. They were so well presented, really efficient. But how? We wanted to get under the skin. You know, we wanted to get to know them.
So how did you, because I presume that's what your clients wanted.
That's what they wanted.
So straight away you could have 30 applications and they're all saying what the client wants. But how did you differentiate it?
So actually that's when we start going through the rest of the CV and reading the language that they use, looking
Right.
at the hobbies, trying to map out a picture. And actually, I had a boss, and she was very clever. She said, your CV is your life's tapestry. We need to know every element of it.
Mhm.
Yes, how you work at work, but also how you operate privately as an individual, what you do, because actually work, and everyone talks about work-life balance, yes, but essentially we're the same person in both scenarios. So our language needs to be the same. But yes, all picking up the phone, and obviously at that point you have to pick up the phone and talk to people. But when you have 400 applicants, it's hard. So we want to share, don't we, how we make sure that that doesn't happen for you lot, and that's where we will direct our conversation to you. So Ruth said it. When you talk about what you do and profiles, everybody slips, don't they? And they go straight into talking about their operational duties. And I'll talk about this more in a minute when we start moving down to our second P. But I would always say, make your statement and give it evidence.
Yeah.
So, I am a senior operations manager. Great. What does it mean? Tell me what it means. I am used to managing multiple projects at any one time. Fine. Give me the evidence as shown through my experience doing this, this, and this. And for youngsters, when they're writing to us, they obviously haven't got all these things, and we always giggle, don't we? I'm professional. It's like, when have you got the experience to say that you're professional? But you can say, I'm really reliable. As shown through my babysitting, or as demonstrating by my years of babysitting. You know, I'm a very good listener, as shown by my volunteering work. So give us evidence. So rather than these throwaway comments, there's a justification that's needed. And I think on profiles, that is always missing, isn't it?
So when you're looking to apply for a role, if you look at the criteria within that job specification, and it could be that they are the employer that's advertising for the role are looking for something very, very specific. So it could be, you know, keeping on ops roles or design roles or, you know, product management, that type of thing. They may be looking for some lean efficiencies and some innovation. So I've done XYZ as demonstrated in the last project I ran, and which resulted in this. So it doesn't need to be too long though, does it? From a length point of view, we're looking, I would say 2 to 3 paragraphs of, you know, couple 3 lines each.
I'd say 6 to 8 lines.
What do you think about putting keywords in bold?
Funnily enough, I quite like it. It's different. Not everybody does it. That's why I like it. It makes my job quite easy. It makes your job quite easy. I like punchy sentences anyway. I'd much prefer to someone say, I am this because of this. And make it simple and basic. We're not here to read novels. We're here to get facts. We'll build and we'll elaborate on it at interview stage, you know, with us at interview stage with the clients and all of that. So
and you can build on that in the body of the CV,
exactly.
which, as I say, will come on at the moment.
So what, you know, a classic. I'm a hard worker. I'm known to be, or I have a reputation for being a hard grafter. This is not me, by the way. I do, hopefully. But this is a profile that we've had. You know, I have a reputation for being a hard grafter. I've grown up on a farm. I've always, you know, had to pull up my sleeves and muck in wherever needed and work from a young age. You know, that's a really lovely
I think that's
way
great.
of describing yourself. We had one as well, a young guy, desperate to get a finance job actually locally, and he just found that he'd just come out of university, had a little bit of work experience, but he wasn't quite at the level for the jobs he was applying for, but he was very capable. So it was just justifying why he was applying for them. But, you know, we talked about it and he came up with this stuff like, well, I'm naturally competitive. I was like, really? He said, well, I'm the younger brother. I have to be competitive. Great, let's say it. You know, and that's what we say, let us get to know you. Why are you like you are? There are reasons why we're like we are.
I think that's really helpful as well for today, being A-level results. So, you know, anybody that knows anybody that's getting their A-level results and is looking to secure a job, that is brilliant advice about how you can bring your personality and your work ethic out when you've not got any work experience. Couple of questions. So we're both looking at the chat, so bear with me one moment. Tally had said, would you suggest you have bold headlines start off your profile? I think that's similar with me saying about the words in bold.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, slightly depends on where you are with space. What stylistically is your style? Would I write profile under my name? Personally, no, I wouldn't. But some people who are very formulaic, very detailed, quite process driven, that might be absolutely key for them. So sorry to kind of answer it, but not answer it. But what's suitable for you as an individual? So Stuart's asked a question. Should you say what you do and don't want to do, i.e. work weekends, permanent nights, etc.? What's your view?
I think if you're wanting a very focused approach in this market, then yes, I would say that, because that's not going, people are not going to waste your time. If that's what you're looking for, I think so. It's very, very clear then. In the market that we're in at the moment, people may be a little bit more flexible if they've been made redundant, but what we're talking about is not just about for today, it's about your lifelong career and your CV going forward. So I would certainly think tailor that, and if you're looking for that specific role, I think coming back to what you were saying about your personality coming through, my experience is as a quality manager, I have gained this level of experience, and now I am looking for bum bum bum. That's very specific, and I think when you're in a job and you're looking for that next role, absolutely, you can be very, very specific.
Yeah, it's quite often called a call to action.
Yes.
So classic example, Ruth and I were saying earlier, you walk into a sandwich shop, they say, hello, how are you? Yes, really well, thank you. What can I, how can I help you? Well, actually, I'm hungry. Yeah, great. We kind of would expect you to be hungry. So what is the call to action? So what do you want? And kids learn it from a young age, don't they? If you don't ask, you don't get. So if you ask and you're specific, youngsters starting off, I'm now looking to gain more experience within this field. Fantastic call to action.
Yeah.
Those of us middle to senior level of our careers, great. I'm now looking to progress. I'm now looking to take more responsibility. I'm now looking to move into senior management. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's your justification. But again, I think that thing about hours and things, in some ways, to answer Stuart's question, yes, I agree, you should. But likewise, we don't want to be applying for jobs that we know that we can't logistically do. So it should say on the job spec, and we should know what we're applying for, whether it's full-time hours, part-time hours, days, nights. But it might have said, please make sure when you're applying that you clearly specify. So yes, put it in. But I think it is, at the moment, and again, as we said, this is not just about today, but if for a second we're going to look at today, make it easy for the people you're writing to.
Yeah, with the number of applications.
We've had 427 applications for a very local finance admin job. And it's not saying that 427 of them were right. It was probably actually only 20 of them are right. But our job is to make sure that everybody's on the same platform and everybody has an opportunity to apply for this. So it's our responsibility as hirers to read all of those. So make our job easy and get yourself to stand out by putting this fact and separating it.
So hopefully that's summarised on a profile about you bringing you out and your personality out there. So moving on to our second P, over to you.
Right, professional skills we've got. So I've got a slightly bigger P. Professional skills means everything. It's what has brought you to this point in your career. That's your education. That is your training. That is your personal learning and development, and that is your work experience. And I think a lot of people omit sometimes to give just as much emphasis on education and training as they do about skills.
I think also personal development. I think if you have not done that great at school and your qualifications aren't as high, you might sort of talking from a personal point of view, I'm somebody that left school at 16, so not a lot of qualifications. And actually, when I look at my experience, the amount of personal development I've done on training courses, online, stuff that I've done personally, actually, it's probably that long that I would never have put it on before. So why are you not putting that on? Because that shows your personal development and your investment in yourself, leaving formal education. So I think you're right, people forget about it.
And it's so important, again, if we're doing a career change, or if we're trying to make a justification to move into a different role, we can give evidence through all this professional skill as well, to say, these are the skills, this is where I put myself. We're finding, again, in this current tiny microclimate that we're in now, that lots of people are retraining. That's a fantastic justification. And if you don't put oh, I forgot that I'm doing an AAT course. It's just like, that could be the difference between you getting the job or not getting the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I think we think big picture. If you're going out and you're doing lots of learning courses yourself around, knowing you, probably coaching support, NLP stuff, what personality profiling, whatever it is, because you've got a natural interest in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's also your job.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to bring all that energy, all that interest, all that learning, all that inquiring mind to your job, which automatically says to me, here is somebody who's a serious player.
Yeah.
Because they love what they do, and it's evidenced by all the stuff that they've done externally.
Yeah.
So professional skills then, when we talk about our previous work experience, don't fall in the bear trap of just writing your tasks, managing complex problems, engineers, talking through planned and preventative maintenance, anything that they're doing. I want to know, hirers want to know how you do your job. Not just what you do as a job, but how you as an individual operate. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've got to think that how you're presenting yourself is, this is the job that I did, and this is what I achieved, but this is how I did it. And I think that's the key, because sometimes, and I have seen it, where I've read a CV and it's very clear that they have copied it from the job description.
Yes.
Especially when it says, and any other duties. We do see that. Please don't do this. Okay, don't get your job description and copy and paste it over. Get your job description and think, yes, I have done all of these roles, but then bring, as we've said, your personality out and show how you have actually done your job. I think people are looking for. They're looking, certainly me, when I'm looking at CVs for people to come and work for us, I'm looking at what they've done previously and what they can bring to be brilliant within our business.
Yeah,
and how they did it. Yeah.
Why them?
Yeah.
Because going back to my point, as you can see, it's blowing a gale here because we've got the windows wide open. So sorry if luckily we haven't got too many papers out. Who are you? Why you? Why should we hire you? And why should a business hire you? So when we think operational task, I led a team, managed a complex problem. That's great. What's your leadership style? I did that. I'm known for having for bringing all my troops together and leading them. For Tally in my office always giggles and says, "Oh yeah, I always use the word collaborative." I do, but that inclusive management style or a mentoring management style.
Yeah, that's really important.
Or I'm known to be quite directive with my management style. For some jobs, that's exactly what you want.
Well, I think the point then comes to, if your management style and your leadership style is that's you, you need to find an employer and a business and a team that you're going to fit in well with, and you will be successful. So if you hide your style of, well, actually, I'm quite vanilla, so you don't know which way it is, whether you are very direct or very mentor, coaching, whichever element. If people don't really know and you're hiding that, well, you could fall into the trap of finding a role that actually the team isn't right for you and the culture of the business isn't right for you. So I think being brave and saying, especially from a leadership and how you are as an individual, saying who you are, it goes a long way. Yeah,
100%. Good. So I think we probably ought to move on to
because we could talk about this forever. So we'll move on to the final one, which is personality. And let's be honest, businesses are employing people. They're looking for a key set of skills, but actually what we're in the business of matching people with people and for people to work in environments.
Exactly.
And your personality needs to shine through. One of my colleagues, when we're interviewing, has a great question. And at the she does the second stage interviews for us and the final stage interviews, and she will say, tell me something about you that I won't read on your CV.
What a brilliant question. I'm going to steal it.
Yes, well, we've stolen it, so and I love that question, because if somebody has been putting on a bit of a persona, you can then see whether they're prepared to share something that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But on the opposite side, I was speaking with somebody a few weeks ago, and they had a really weird hobby. And she said, I'm not going to put that on my CV for when I do the CV. It was on there. This is my first draft. And I said to her, why are you not putting it on your CV? Well, you know, not everybody likes that sort of thing. No, pop it on, because that's your personality. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And actually, that's going to be a talking point in an interview.
Yeah.
And why hide who you are as an individual? You know, some people love fishing. Some people think it's boring. Some people...
It's not boring. It's amazing.
Seriously, but that's our personality. I'm obviously not hiring Charlotte for her fishing. Not hiring her at all. But you look at that and it brings a personality out there of, you know, some people may do triathlons. They might love reading thrillers as books. Bring that personality. So there's always been that conversation is, do you put your hobbies and interests on it? It sounds a little bit 1980s sometimes, doesn't it? Hobbies and interests.
Yeah.
But actually it brings the personality out, don't you think?
So I'm noticing that more and more people are putting emojis, characters, whatever it is. That's great, you know, laugh, plant, fishing rod, baking, sewing, whatever it is. I know she still thinks I'm boring. But that's it. But we embrace our difference. You know, we're in a culture where we're learning, aren't we, to embrace diversity, inclusion and all of that.
Absolutely.
But so something, I'll give you a little trick. Even within businesses, different personalities required for different tasks. Much later in the world of Be Career Confident, we'll be looking at team dynamics and how we all work together and how we understand how to bring out the best in people. And it'll be so interesting. I can't begin to tell you. It's something that Ruth and I get very excited about. But within different businesses, you need people who operate differently to perform different functions. So you need the people who will be slow and careful and considered and detailed. We would expect to see certain hobbies from that type of demeanour.
Yeah.
For the drivers of a business, the ones pushing it forward, the entrepreneurs, we would expect to see certain types of hobbies. This is not in any way putting people in boxes, in any way, it's not a generalization, but we would expect to see certain things. So when you write all of your hobbies and the things that stand out, we go, this is really interesting. We had somebody not that long ago who's mad about archery, and all they've done is written, you know, hobbies, archery, sailing, this. And I was like, oh, tell me about your archery. I mean, the hobby, it was like serious national competitions. So I think, don't just write what they are. Tell us more about them. So baking, yeah, that's great. What do you bake? Tell me. Oh, actually, I just won Junior Bake Off. Oh my God, tell us more about it.
Yeah.
So give us almost more information than less.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the uniqueness is the bit that you really get to get under the skin of somebody. So you could have somebody who, you know, you meet and they're quite gregarious and they're full of life, full of personality. And then it's like, well, how do you relax? Do you know what? I just go down on the south coast where I've got no Wi-Fi, no signal, and I just switch off because I need that downtime. And that's the way I'm with my family. I might do a bit of sailing, I might do that. You know, I think that brings the personality out because that's what you're hiring as well. You're hiring a mixture of those professional skills and that personality.
Good.
We run out of time so quick on these things,
I know,
don't we?
do.
Just because we just talk and ramble. I mean, please say if, you know, we're just rambling far too much, just pop it in the chat and go, tell us to do this. This is what we specifically need. But yeah, profile, professional skills, personality, mix those all together. Should you say what you do and do? Oh no, sorry. Age-old question, how long should your CV be? Okay.
Have you got an answer for that?
I do.
What's your answer?
Okay, so my answer is this. If you have been if you've been in your career for a set period of time and you've done lots.
Yes.
And it's things that you want to talk about, major projects that you've worked on and real key achievements in a variety of stuff, you're not going to get that on 2 pages.
No.
So as long as it has purpose,
yes,
and as long as you can demonstrate what you've done and I've forgotten the word that you said. Evidence it. As long as you can evidence it, I think 3 pages is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But don't waffle.
Yeah.
If you can fit your CV in, if you're an A-level student now that's just had a couple of roles and you're trying to bring a personality out, it might fit on 1 page. It's on 1 page. It's fine.
Yeah,
that's my view.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because I think it's an opportunity. You have to get your message across. We're talking today about marketing ourselves and the whole of ourselves. I'm not asking for every single temp job you did when you were 15, but I'm asking for the best of your professional experience, which creates your case for why you for this job. There's a couple of questions, or a question I can see come in, and I will answer in just a second. There's also a question I'd like to ask you is, do you believe that people need to have multiple CVs for different jobs when they're applying?
I believe that you have a core CV, but I would then modify it for the role depending on what you were looking for if you have got multiple skills. So let me take something, HR manager. If you are a well-rounded HR manager and you've done L&D and you've done some recruitment, and you've done general HR manager role, and the role is for L&D, I would tailor my CV to focus on L&D.
Yeah.
If you go back to my core all the time, so if you're a maintenance engineer and you've done those jobs, well, that's your CV. That is what it is. If you were go back to a quality manager and you're working on a project on something very, very specific and they were looking for that specific skills, you'd want to heighten that. You'd want to focus on that. So that's my view.
Yeah. So I do agree with that. I think I worry when I hear people, they say, well, I've got 11 different CVs.
Oh, no.
Don't spend the time, because we're the same person. We stay the same. Our core values, our ethos, our skills, all the stuff, our 3 Ps that we've talked about today, all stay the same.
Yeah.
I agree with the minor tweaks. But for me, all you're doing then is, for that example of the HR person, all you're doing is putting your L&D experience at the top of your list of what you've done in terms of operational tasks. You're just shifting it around. Don't need to, fine, save, copy, L&D CV, but don't spend the time doing lots of different ones, folks, because you are the same person.
Yeah, and you can't seek for brilliant question. We've got 2 questions, but
how do you explain career breaks on your CV? Just quickly from Tally. Justification, what were you doing? Time off for kids, relocation, looking after family members. But there must be a comment in there, please. Make our job easy so when we're reading it, we can see. So we don't have to have the awkward conversation with you and ring you up and say, oh, what were you doing during that period? And actually hit a nerve that we didn't mean to hit. Yeah. Make it easy for us. Be kind to us. Yeah. There's never an issue. There's never a problem. We just like to know, because we're nosy and because obviously we need to have
we
clear idea of
we
what's
need to know. What about the years you were awarded your degrees or qualifications? Do you include them or not? I've heard different things as well. So what do you think?
Yes. We get to know at some point.
Yeah.
There's no, all these things, like someone, again, the phone's been ringing today, A-level days, A-level results day, people begin to say, eek, I didn't get the grades I want. What do I do? Do I put my bad grades on? Yes, folks, because all this stuff comes out in the wash eventually.
Yeah.
There is never a problem. It's more of an issue if you don't tell us and then we find out about them afterwards, because then it looks a bit duplicitous. But actually, if you've come in and you've said, and it doesn't matter. I think if you're concerned about age and stage, that's your concern.
But also what I would add on to that is, because I think that is around an age, I'm going to guess at that because I've seen it and I've heard it. What I would say is, if the employer you're looking at has a problem that you're the age that you are, that's young. Seriously.
I'm not even going to read that.
No, I'm talking more about people that are in like their 50, 55 and 60 that are trying to hide that away. Do you know what?
Don't work for them.
Don't work for that company. What employers don't always see is that way. Yeah, but you don't want to work for that employer.
Exactly.
You don't want to work for that employer, because then you're going to be miserable, because they're going to have that view and your view is not going to match their view.
No.
Gosh, we're at 10 o'clock.
I know, I can't believe it.
Emma, brilliant questions. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for your questions. I hope that's been really helpful. So we've had our 3 Ps. We've talked about our profile. Please don't omit your profile. It must be in there. It's got to be clear. It's got to be concise. We've talked about your professional skills, education, training, learning development, all your personal development, everything you've done, all your work experience. backing that up, and then obviously this personality bit. So those are our 3 tips to talk about marketing ourselves, and we're talking about marketing us, the whole of our experience, who we are as individuals, and why we feel we would complement that opportunity. So that again was our whistle stop talk. Absolutely thrilled to see all of you.
If you need any more information, just give us a call. Glad you liked it. Next week we're on successful applications, so using that application to get your successful applications, and we're a bit earlier next week. We're at 9 o'clock.
Yep, fantastic. Look forward to seeing you all there. Have a great week. Thanks so much.
See you soon.
And see you soon.
Bye.